This is the tutorial for Laundry Room by the Avett Brothers. It's not based on a specific performance, but rather it's kind of a conglomeration of my favorite parts of different performances mashed up into one. One thing to note, if you're here just for the breakdown section, that'll be later in the video. I'll put a timestamp in the description so that you can just move right there instead of going through all the rest of this if that's not what you're here for. And I'll also put a link to a couple of different performances that I like, including another guy who does covers, does a really good job. So the first section for the introduction, one thing to note, I also do pretty much just picking, finger picking that is. I am not great with the pick, but most of these things translate well to picking if you're good with the pick, so it's really up to you. Capo, 3rd fret for most of their performances, but you can do it on whatever you like. And starts with a G shape, and pretty much what they're doing is just playing around within that G chord. It's going to be an alternating bass, and then the melody moves up through the different strings in the G chord. So this bass note will be the first bass string, 3rd fret, and every note that we make along the rest of it will alternate with that bass note. So the alternating strings are going to be your 3rd string, 2nd fret, 3rd string open, then 3rd string, 2nd fret, then 4th string open, then 4th string, 2nd fret, then 4th string open again, then 3rd string, 2nd fret, 4th string open one more time, and then 5th string open. So if we were to play just those melody notes through the G chord without the alternating bass, this is what it would sound like. Sorry. Alright, so we've got those alternating, just those melody chords. And now if we want to fill it in with this alternating bass note, it will sound like this. Now to come in to the chord at the very beginning, and this happens a lot in Avett Brothers songs, they'll do a little bass walk up. So it's the open bass, 2nd fret bass string, 3rd fret bass string. So to put it all together, you've got that walk up, and then we're going to move straight into those G notes from within the G chord that they're playing around with, walking up and down. And on the last one, when I play the open 5th string, I'm also hitting the bass note at the same time, so it comes out both at the same time. From there, you don't really have to do the picking any longer. You can throughout the entire song if you like, but a lot of times I'll move straight into the strumming once it comes to, the introduction's done and they're moving into the verses. So it'll sound kind of like this. And you saw when I did that strumming pattern there that you're going to hammer on the 3rd string, 2nd fret, and that happens in almost throughout the entire song as well. It'll kind of keep time for you. So just to recap, we're going to hit again the 3rd string open, 3rd string, 2nd fret, 4th string open, 4th string, 2nd fret, 4th string open again, 3rd string, 2nd fret again, back to that open 4, and then the last open 5. And when you do that last open 5, you're going to play the bass note at the same time. Alright, so we've covered the portion where you're finger picking on the way in. For the rest of this, I just do strumming, which will probably be more convenient for you. So let's hear how that sounds. Hammer on again like we just talked about. When you play another portion of the verse, you're going to have also at the very bottom something I'll introduce you to now so that when it comes up later it won't be a surprise. You've got the 6th string, that high E string. If you push it down on the 2nd fret and play the 5th string at that 2nd fret and then an open 5 and an open 4 string, 3 times it'll sound like this. And that happens at a couple different intervals in the verses. So let's go ahead and play through the first measure and see how it sounds. And you notice that I was picking the bass note with my thumb and I was using my index finger to walk up. You'd use what's most comfortable for you, but I think at least the thumb will work best for the bass note. When you transition from the G to the C, there is a little bit of a walk up as well. You keep that bass G note on the bass string 3rd fret, and then you play an open 2nd string, then a 2nd fret 2nd string, and from there you can move straight into the C, which actually the bass part is going to be here, this 2nd string 3rd fret. But the bass I will play, or the C I will play, I should say, with a full bass in it, meaning that you're going to have this G note as well at the top. So a normal C, you've got your ring finger on this 2nd string 3rd fret. But with this G, we're going to move that ring finger right on up to the 3rd fret of the bass string and use our pinky finger to hold down that 2nd string 3rd fret. So it sounds like this. It's a little bit fuller and it sounds pretty good when you're doing the bass walk up. So now for this, the C portion, and we'll take a little bit of a break after this, but the C portion, you're going to strum it like this, to where you've got a full one, then you hammer off where your index finger is on the 2nd string 1st fret, and then you're going to slide that ring finger right on down to where it would have been if you played a normal C, and mute that top bass string with your thumb if you can, so that it leaves your pinky finger free to play the 5th string 3rd fret. And it's going to sound like this when you do it. Hammer off with the index finger and slide down. And then hammer off again with that pinky. Back right into the G. So let's do that C walk up one more time. Full. Hammer off with the index finger. Slide down into the C. Hammer on with the ring finger, or the pinky finger I should say, 5th string 3rd fret, and then hammer it back off and bass walk up back into the G. So let's just play the first measure and then we'll take a little bit of break and come back. Don't push me out, just a little longer. Still on G, but walking up to C. Stall your mother and slide down. Disregard your father's words. And that last part you can see, instead of just hammering on this G at the hammering on with this G chord at the 3rd string 2nd fret, I'm also hammering on the 5th string 2nd fret. So it sounds like this. I'm sure there's a special name for that chord, but I'm not a music person, so I don't know it. But it sounds like this. And then after that, we'll talk about the median in between. We'll be right back. So one thing I did neglect to do last time was talk about that little sound where that comes in. So let's say, stall your mother, off with the index finger. Disregard your father's words. Back up to the G. Close the laundry door. And here's right here we're going to break out while we're still got that G ringing. So there we go. Still got that G ringing. We're going to have that bottom 6th string 2nd fret, and then the 5th string and the 4th string are both open. Close the laundry door. Tiptoe across goes right back into the C for the rest of that verse. So now we're going to talk about in-between verses, and basically it's the exact same thing we talked about in the introduction, except for instead of finger picking, we're going to be using our chords. We're going to be strumming at the same time. So again, just to remind us, what we're doing with this walk-up is we aren't going to have to alternate on the bass anymore since we're strumming. We're just going to need this third string at the open. So third string, second fret, sorry, third string open, third string, second fret, fourth string open, fourth string, second fret, back to open, third string, second fret, fourth string open, fifth string open. And we're going to do that while we're strumming. So the way we're going to do that is we're going to maintain everything else on the chord. And you're going to see that for the most of the chord, I'm going to play the G with my ring finger also holding down this fifth string, third fret to give it a fuller sound. I think that's a G, A, D, D9 or something of that nature, so they call it, but essentially it's just a G with this filled out. But at the very end, we're going to have to hammer off in order to play that fifth string open, because otherwise it'll sound wrong. So let's look at how that looks while we're strumming it. And basically when you're on the beat, when you're holding down this walk up, you're going to be on the upswing of your strum. So and you can mute it to some degree, to any degree that you like. You can do it with almost no muting to where it would sound like this. And you can also even do it as strong as this. So basically using your hand to mute the entire strings after every beat. What I tend to do is on the earlier verses do more of an open, and as you progress, especially towards the end, to mute more. And there's some heavier muting that happens towards the end, which I'll demonstrate. But anyway, that's in between the verses, and second and third verse are just the same as the first two verses. You can finger pick kind of when you like, and you can strum when you like. At the very end, I have seen them do, and I like doing this too, once you move from the end of the third verse towards the chorus, I will do a lot of muting, and it kind of sounds like this. So what you can see is actually what you're doing is you're still doing the basic strumming pattern, but to mute it, you're going to kind of release on the string that you're doing the chord. Not all the way, but just enough to where you can kind of hear this. You can hold down the strings, but not all the way to the fret, so it's muted. So, and also you can mute it with your hand as well, but that's kind of two ways to do it at the same time and achieve that same effect. And then, give this little beat to it. So that's enough of that. When you get to the chorus, it's going to be basically the same exact thing you did once you started strumming the verses, but it's going to stay in the G, pretty much the G chord the entire time. So I am a breathing time machine. I'll take you off. Never goes back to the C. Please break this tired old routine. And you can just mute it to your liking. And then this time don't let me leave. So you can see how simple this song is. It sounds more complicated than it is. We'll take a short break, and then we'll move into the breakdown, which some of you are probably actually here for, and we'll go through that. So, see you soon. So now we are finally at the breakdown. I think this is the most fun part of the song to play. After you've got some emotionally heavy lyrics, you move into this really fun breakdown that you get to play. And to me, it was the whole reason I actually did this tutorial, because it was the hardest part for me to get down, especially when you're not using a pick, and we'll talk about that. So the way that Seth does it, if you look at some of the videos and actually even some of the covers, one of the covers I'm going to link, they're really moving along one string. And that's kind of the melody of it. But it's difficult to hit one string when you're strumming without a pick, when you're using your fingers to do the strumming. So I kind of worked out this alternate, and it sounds pretty close to me. I wouldn't be able to really tell the difference unless I were listening pretty closely. Probably that you weren't using a pick and using only one string because it's staying within the same chord structure. So let's talk about the transition first from the chorus, if you want to call it that, or the part between the verses and the breakdown. You're still working on that G walk up. So you see that at the end of the leave, you're just going to keep getting that strum, getting your beat ready to go into the breakdown. Now, the beat for the breakdown, before we even go into the placements, is going to be these little triplets. So it sounds kind of like this. If I'm going to mute all the strings so you can hear the beats, but 1 2 3, 1 2 3, 1 2 3, 1 2 3, 1 2 3, 1 2 3. So you can kind of hear that da 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 that's going to go on. And the last beat of the little triplets is going to be the beat that you move, make your transition from move to move on. So let's talk about the different positions before we talk about transitioning from them. The positions are a G, and you're really only going to be playing the top 4 strings, or even 3 if you want, whatever you end up hitting. You can even hit the 5th one if you want to, but don't hit the 6th one. 5th is all fine. Once you get the 6th, it's a little off unless you're holding on with the G, and we don't want to waste our movement with our pinky finger to do that. So also, not playing the G with the bass with my middle finger anymore, moved it to playing the bass with my pinky finger. A lot of people play their G's like this anyway. So this is how you're going to play it for the breakdown and make it a lot easier. So if you got your ring finger on the 1st string, 3rd fret, middle finger on the 2nd string, 2nd fret, that's the first move. Second move is going to be a hammer-on, where you just move that middle finger 1 string down. So it's now moving to the 3rd string, 2nd fret. You have to be careful when you're doing that, because if you hit the 2nd string on that move, it sounds like that and it's really dissonant. So you need to find a way to mute it either with your pinky finger or your index finger. I usually do the index finger because it's a little easier to reach. But that way you can play the 1st, 3rd, and 4th strings on that 2nd move. So again, first move is that G. 2nd move is the hammer-on. 3rd move is actually the transition itself, which we'll talk about, is going to be a slide into this move, which is going to basically mean your middle finger is on the 3rd string, 4th fret. Ring finger is on the 2nd string, 5th fret. And you can actually play the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th strings on that move. If you play the bass string, it's going to sound off, so you need to mute that or just not hit it. If you can wrap around your thumb, it's pretty easy to mute. The next move, I guess this is going to be our 4th move. You're going to hammer on with your pinky finger right below where your ring finger is. Your pinky finger can hammer on right below where your ring finger is. I recommend leaving your middle finger where it is because you're going to need it right again. So hammer on to where you have your ring finger in the same place it was. It doesn't move. 2nd string, 5th fret. Your ring finger is now on the 3rd string, 5th fret. So you now have those 2 fingers right next to each other. But again, I leave my middle finger there because you're going to need it in a second. That one you can play 2nd, 3rd, and 4th strings as well. Again, bass doesn't work there, so mute it or don't hit it. The next move is hammering off that pinky right back where you were, which is why you wanted to leave the middle finger there. So that's, I guess, into our 5th move. The next move is going to be a slide right back down to where they were before that. And then we're going to slide right back up. And this is kind of a tricky part, so the next move is hammering back on that pinky. Now, logically, you'd think this is how it would go. So you could hear that. But in reality, when you're moving as fast as you are for the breakdown, I typically don't even do that last slide down. I just kind of move from here back to the G. So I'm going to play it closer to real speed, not full speed, but so you can kind of see what I do. So instead of going, I just do one more strum here and kind of mute that top and then move it back to the G. You can, if you're fast enough, then you can easily. But sometimes it's too much more trouble than it's worth because it's going to get lost in the strumming anyway. So I just keep it there. So let's look at that again and see the transitions. You got the G, hammer on, and one way I tend to mute that even without using my index finger is you can see your ring finger, the very bottom of it, you can kind of use the bottom of that finger to just kind of angle it to where the top part of the finger, where your callus is hitting on the fretboard, but the bottom right underneath that where it's soft is just kind of laying on that string, and it keeps it from playing, it mutes it for you. So slide. At the very end, you've got that hammer on. I tend to do not only the middle finger, but also put my ring finger on the 5th string 1st fret, and so it sounds like this chord, which I can't remember the name of either, but it's some sort of G suspended or something like that. In any case, if you hammer on like that instead of the middle only, it sounds like this. So let's go real slow one more time just for that first part of the breakdown. Typically what I'll do is play that twice. Some people will go ahead into the bridge or whatever of the breakdown, which is pretty easy. We'll go into that in a minute. I will typically go ahead and do the next part, which is the part that I had the most trouble with when you're moving way up on the neck. So that part is just the same, getting to the 4th and 5th frets, but then it changes. So G, hammer on, to the slide, to the hammer on. Now this is where it changes. So once you've hammered on, before you would hammer off and work your way back down, this time, instead of worrying about that, you're going to slide these 2 fingers all the way up to what ends up being your 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9th and 10th frets. But you have to be really careful, and this is where I had the trouble up here, is because if you're trying to do one string and you're finger picking, a lot of other strings get in the way. And even up here, you can do 2nd string, 1st string, the 4th and 5th are open. 4th is open, it sounds just the same, it's fine to hit. Same exact sounds coming out of the 4th and 5th string, so those are safe to hit. What you don't want to hit is the bass string. That just sounds awful, and the high E string is on the same note, just a different octave. So really what you want to do is strum. I just kind of strum towards the top, and I mute that bass string with my index finger when I come up. So when I slide, I'm muting it with my index finger, and I'm only strumming towards the top of these strings, so that at the very last, maybe my fingers will hit the 5th string, but they won't go down to 6th string and avoid it. You can also curve your hands to where they're kind of blocking the 6th string, but that gets to be a pain, so really just aim for the top. So let's just play that other movement a little bit slower. Now, to work your way back down, all you're going to do is slide your ring finger down 1 fret to the 9th fret, and your index finger is going to be on the 3rd string, 8th fret. And at that point, it's really easy to mute this bass string with your middle finger because it's free. And again, as long as you don't hit that E string, you're fine. And then you're going to slide down with these same fingers at the same distance. You're going to slide your ring finger down from the 9th fret where it was to the 7th fret, and your index finger where it was from the 7th fret to the 5th fret, I think. yes, 7th fret to the 5th fret, so you've got same thing, and still muting that bass string with your middle finger. So and now when we slide the third part down, so now we're going to go back down to basically where we were, but since we've got our fingers in this position, what I will do is I will move my middle finger down one, or my index finger down one, and I will move my ring finger down. I'll just scrunch them together and have my ring finger on the 5th fret. So index finger 4th, ring finger 5th. And that way I can slide them down one more, 2 frets each. So you've got your index finger on 3rd string, 2nd fret, ring finger on 2nd string, 3rd fret, and then you can move right back into your G the way you were playing it before and move your middle finger back on. So let me try and play the whole thing, those 3 measures or whatever, the way they would sound. See, with that one, I didn't even really spend a lot of time past, so it's like you don't really even have to, you don't have to explicitly go, you can really just kind of slide, because it's going to be in the same beat, and you'll hear it when it's all together. If you see my other video where I'm actually playing this at speed, you'll kind of see it. This is kind of the easy part of the breakdown. So then it breaks into a E minor, then to a D, which I'm using my thumb to hit the bass for, pretty standard, and then to a G with the same thing, hammer on. Now one of the cool things that Seth does in one of the videos where they're in Germany is he does this little riff. I don't do that in mine because I don't have a pick, and it's really hard to hit it precisely with my fingers. Every now and then I'll get brave and try it in the middle of it, but kind of at that point I'm just happy that I didn't screw up on the breakdown. So, but if you want to learn that, that's 2 hits on the third fret of the bass string, and then an open 2nd fret, 2nd string 2nd fret. Sorry, I'm wrong about that. 2 hits on the 3rd string, 1st string 3rd fret, open 2nd string, no frets, then the 1st fret of the 2nd string, and then the 2nd string of the 2nd fret, open 3rd string, 2nd fret 3rd string, open 4th string. So if you get that down pretty well, and then you can move right back into the breakdown. And you could do that. Now you've learned basically everything for the breakdown, so you can kind of follow whether some people will do, sometimes you'll see them do just all the way up to here and down before they do the middle part, and then they'll do all the way up to the fret on the last part. You can do however you want to do, but that is the breakdown. And then when you're done, it's just a ring. So here, just kind of the last. That's it, and you can twist that around as much as you like. Hopefully you found this helpful. If you have any questions, I'll do my best to answer them, and good luck, have fun.